This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by PSE&G, committed to providing safe, reliable energy now and in the future. The Turrell Fund, supporting right from the start NJ. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. PNC, Grow Up Great. Atlantic Health System, building healthier communities. The New Jersey Education Association, New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation. And by Rowan University, educating New Jersey leaders, partnering with New Jersey businesses, transforming New Jersey's future. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Monthly, the magazine of the Garden State, available at newsstands. And by New Jersey Family Magazine and njfamily.com.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
There it is, man. Look at it.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No. People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hiya, Frank. Would you like to be a part of history?
Yes, I would.
Big business and the government are working together, trying to pull us apart. Something's got to be done.
What else you say? Now's not the time to not say.
We're going at war with these people. War.
Things have gotten out of hand with our friend.
You gotta sit down, everybody says so.
I'm not sitting down. I can't do it.
It's what it is.
What it is.
I know things they don't know I know.
What a movie. And the young lady you see on camera, Welker White, is in that movie. She plays opposite Al Pacino. She's Josephine Jo Hoffa. Welcome to One-on-One here at the Tisch WNET studio.
Thank you.
We're taping this a little bit before Christmas 2019. It'll be seen after that. I absolutely love this movie. Did you love it when you saw it?
I did.
What do you love about it?
Oh, gosh. It's so epic. It's so far-reaching. It touches on our history. It gets us back into a genre I think a lot of us really love from Scorsese. It brings together such an incredible cast of actors in large roles and small roles, and there's a power to the life of this guy that, for whatever reason, I don't know about you, but
Hoffa or Frank Sheeran?
Yeah, that
Frank
we see his entire life practically, and we connect with it in a way that's very unexpected. I do.
Yeah.
Such that when we see him at the end of his life, which is kind of the framing device, there's a sense of our own loss.
Yeah.
And that we come in alone and we go out alone.
3.5 hours. I told you. It's been out on Netflix just a little bit. It'll be obviously there for a while. That was the first time you ever did something like that, because obviously the Netflix thing coming out after it's in the movies for a couple of weeks, that's new. You think that's going to continue?
I think it will.
Does it matter? Do you think it matters where you see a movie? Because I saw it in both places, in the theater and then at home.
Gosh, that's a big question. I think it's a different experience.
It is.
For sure. Yes. Are we in a new era that has opened up a lot of opportunities for people? Yes. Is that incredible? Yes. Is there something lost by not seeing a movie like this in a theater? Maybe a little bit, yeah.
It's interesting. Martin Scorsese was just quoted saying, "Please, I beg people not to watch this movie on their phone." I
can't even see. I can barely see. Like your Apple Watch or something.
He's got a point. So, I'm fascinated by your career. Were you the babysitter?
I was in Goodfellas.
In Goodfellas, who needed her lucky hat.
That's
to
right.
Go make the drug deal, and things didn't work out, as everyone knows. Again, working with such an incredibly powerful cast. You were 24, you said, when you did that. Playing a little bit younger. Long-winded question. Any part of you intimidated, challenged by being with such iconic and much older actors?
At the time.
At the time
Yeah.
and/or?
And now.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely in the front of, I would think, any actor's mind when you're working with icons and you're working with people who are the best at what they do. It's an incredibly challenging because it's scary, but also an incredible invitation. So I would say both of those things were operating in both situations.
Describe the experience of being directed by Martin Scorsese.
Well, people have said it before. He creates a world and then invites you to enter into it. And the world is so detailed and so rich and so enveloping that right away a lot of that fear, I think for most actors have described this, kind of falls away because you are so supported in the world. And he's a real collaborator. Not all film directors are that way.
Define that.
He invites you to bring whatever you want to bring, and he welcomes it, and he'll shape it and guide it. But he wants to see what you've got, and he wants you to bring yourself and all of your ideas and all of your excitement.
You know, the scene that's so interesting is that you're not on camera for this. The telephone call.
Yeah.
From De Niro playing Frank Sheeran, the Irishman, who, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to screw it up for you, but it's an incredibly awkward, difficult, painful call for him to make, and for you being Jo Hoffa to receive on the other end because Jimmy Hoffa's disappeared.
Right.
The idea of you not being on camera and acting, help us understand that. Is it any different?
Well, the way that was shot was, in the script originally, it was written that as you see it, which is Frank makes the call and you only see his response to what he's hearing.
Very halting.
Yeah. When we shot that, they decided to shoot my side as well. I think with the possibility they might use it, just as a possibility.
Did they do it live?
Well, he would be on the other end, so we were called in for each other.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were actually hearing each other live. That doesn't always happen when you shoot a phone call. So it's really nice when it does. It makes a big difference. So we shot for each other.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
I have asked many actors this question, but I'm very curious with you. When did you know that acting was the passion that it has become for you? When did you know?
About age 6 or 7.
6?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. I saw my mother. I was living in Texas at the time in Houston, and my mother took me to my first play, which was this big outdoor amphitheater called Theater Under the Stars, and it was a production of South Pacific. And the overture began, and at the very beginning of the play, the director had directed a few children to run across the stage as the opening. And in the moment the children ran across the stage, I had like a lightning bolt move through my body, and I said, tugged on my mom's shirt, and I said, how do I do that? How do I do that? I want to do that. She was like, okay, we have to watch the play. And I kept badgering her, and that was it. And I started taking acting classes and going to children's theater programs and all that.
You were taking them then. You teach now at Brooklyn
College.
You do private acting lessons as well?
I do.
How much do you enjoy that?
I love it.
Teaching?
Love it.
Coaching?
Love it. Yes, it's a complete
Because?
passion. It's just really wonderful to share what you have with somebody else, and especially with a younger generation of actors. I work sometimes with people my own age as well, but to share the knowledge and the experience and help them get to where they want to be.
There's not much more rewarding than I knew you do some corporate coaching.
Yeah.
In my other life, I do some coaching in public presentation. When you help someone do that, beyond your extraordinary performance is not mine, yours, there's something to that.
Yeah, there really is. It's really special.
Yeah. Well, I advise folks, if you haven't seen The Irishman, it's easy to see. Make sure you check it out. And Welker White plays Josephine, Jo Hoffa, and you're just a terrific actor and also someone who's an easy guest to talk to. Thank you very much.
Great to be here, Steve.
Great. I'm Steve Adubato. This is the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center. Be right back.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
One-on-One is pleased to welcome Jonathan Karp, president and publisher, Simon & Schuster Adult Publishing. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Let's disclose some things.
Okay.
We got history.
Yes, we do.
Go back a couple of years.
A couple of decades, I think.
Yeah. Your dad.
Donald M. Karp.
Don Karp believed in what we were doing in public broadcasting before we even got to public broadcasting. We had an idea, long story short, to disclose his bank. He was the president of a major bank on Jersey side, and he decided to underwrite what we were doing, and that's how I got to know you.
He was the chairman and the CEO of Broad National Bank, and the best father any son could ever have.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so funny because I've worked with so many authors through the years, politicians, businessmen, artists, and my dad has the best judgment of any of them.
He was someone a lot of us sought for advice. And by the way, could you put up that picture again of Jonathan? No, they got it.
Okay.
That was us back in the day before you were the Jonathan Karp at Simon & Schuster. Your love of books started when and because of what?
Well, probably started with them. I mean, my parents, my mom, Marjorie Karp, was a teacher for 25 years. And there were always books in the house, and we were always talking about them. I remember, I think probably some of my first memories are of my dad watching the Watergate hearings when I was about 8 years old, and we still have all those books by John Dean and H.R. Haldeman. And,
that's right.
And so I was always interested in nonfiction and politics. I think I got my first job because my mom had given me a book called Loose Change by Sarah Davidson. And it was a book about sort of coming of age in the 1960s. And when I went in for my job interview at Random House, I saw that book on the shelf of my boss, Kate Medina. And because I'd read that book, she hired me. So I probably owe it all to my mom. And actually, to this day, if my mom loves a Simon & Schuster book, it's usually a hit.
She's got a real...
She has a good eye.
So you just triggered something. In this incredibly digital world, the revolution has taken or whatever. Some people believe that either books are dead or they're dying or, what's the audience? You believe the opposite.
I do. I think that certainly it's a more crowded media environment than ever before, whether it's streaming video or podcasts. There are more places to go to be entertained or to get information. There's something about a book that is elemental. It is straight on what one person thinks. And when it's distilled to the very best, and when it's a writer who has real credibility and authority, and who's really thought about it, there's nothing like it.
And there's also nothing like, I disclosed our relationship before because I knew you quote when you're a kid, which makes me feel really old. But it was Simon & Schuster in 2002 that published my first book.
From the Heart. It's still on our backlist.
Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing like that experience of a prominent editor, publisher, someone in your world saying, yeah, we'll take a shot on you. What do you look for? By the way, before you did this, you did the 12 books.
Right.
I remember every month waiting for them to come. Are there certain things you're looking for? Because you've done Howard Stern, you've done, let's go through some of the other.
John Irving, Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, yeah, him.
Susan Orlean.
All different.
Yeah.
What are the keys to a successful book?
Well, I think authority, passion, obsession, determination to get it right. Certainly craftsmanship. I mean, John Irving writes draft after draft after draft. And the really great writers, it doesn't matter whether it's their first book or their 10th book, they're in it all the way, and they're completely committed to it. There's a conviction about it. I think that you can look at a book a couple of different ways. Imagine you're in a saloon, and there's a stranger next to you on a stool, and they say, I've got a story to tell you. Well, a book is that person on the stool, and the question is, do you want to listen to that person for 10 hours? Because that's how long it's going to probably take you to read the book. So sometimes you need somebody who's just got a great story who can keep you captivated for a really long time. Then there are other people who walk into the bar and you know them and you like them and you just listen to them because you're along for the ride.
And you want the story to end quickly, so you don't have to keep listening.
Sometimes.
What was it like? We had Beth Stern here. Check out our catalog on steveadubato.org. She was terrific. Howard, interesting to work with?
Howard was a joy.
You were great on his Serious show, by the way, talking about.
Thank you. Well, Howard, like a lot of the authors I've worked with who were really successful, he was deeply concerned about every aspect of the book. And he didn't want to let it go because he really wanted it to be right. And he knew he probably isn't going to write another book. I hope he will, but if he doesn't, I won't be surprised because it's agony for him.
That's what he said.
You know, what's interesting is that he doesn't think that when you're an entertainer, you should be enjoying it. It's all about the audience. It's all about making sure that you give them pleasure. And what's interesting to me about that is that he wasn't in it for his own enjoyment. It really was hard for him, but he really cared about the reader's experience. And he went through that book more than a dozen times, revising it so that the pacing would be right, so that the stories really cohered, so that he was giving more of himself, that it wasn't just a book of interviews, but that it was as much about him. It actually turned out to really be an autobiography through conversation. I don't think people realize
interviews he had with other
yes,
people.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it was what the conversations meant to him.
That's right.
How they lingered in his mind and what he learned from them. So it really did become an autobiography through other people, which I thought was really, really wonderful.
If you're listening on the audio side, this is Jonathan Karp from Simon & Schuster. You worked with Hillary Clinton, and who's the other name?
Donald Trump.
Different approaches to writing?
Well, yeah, they are a study in contrast.
Both actually, I'm going to leave that alone.
I can talk about it. So Hillary
did Trump really write a book?
Well, I will tell you this. So Hillary Clinton
Excuse me, President Trump. I apologize.
Well, Hillary was deeply committed in every aspect of it. Every word she reviewed, she thought about. She was careful. She was meticulous. It was all fact-checked. Donald actually called me from the airplane to dictate a chapter. It was a chapter I asked him to write. It was called "The Art of the Hair." This was like 16 years ago. This was when he was on The Apprentice. It was his first season of The Apprentice, and we thought that it would be a fun book to publish. It was called "How to Get Rich." I wanted to call it. He had a sign on his desk that said "The buck starts here," and I thought that would be a better title. And he said, "No, we're calling it How to Get Rich." And then he said, "How to Get Rich." That's what people want to know. And I actually wrote the first sentence of Donald's book,
which is.
Do not let the brevity of this book prevent you from appreciating its profundity. And the reason I wrote that was because the book was so short that I wanted to, let readers know that there was a reason why it was short. It's short because it's profound. And so then when he was running for president, 15 years later, I go into Politico and there was a list of the 100 Trumpiest things Donald Trump had ever said, and that was in the top 10.
Jonathan Karp's quotes there.
Thank you.
I love it. Listen, Jonathan, we appreciate the work you're doing, helping authors bring their work to a larger audience. For those of us who love books, are surrounded by books, and feel better when we're around books, thank you.
Well, thank you.
For what you're doing.
It's great to see.
And your dad and mom did real well.
Thank you.
So do you.
I love them. Right.
I'm Steve Adubato. This is One-on-One from the Tisch WNET studio. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
I want to say thank you. Thank you just for coming.
Thanks for all the good things we'll share and come what may. We want to say welcome. Welcome to the party.
We want to say welcome, my friends.
Welcome every day.
Best show ever.
Thank you.
Dr. Rosemarie Truglio is Senior Vice President of Curriculum and Content at Sesame Workshop and the author of this compelling book, Ready for School, A Parent's Guide to Playful Learning for Children 2 to 5. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Why does Sesame Street matter so much to all of us, but particularly our children?
Well, Sesame Street is not only helping us prepare children for school, but preparing children for life. It's a comprehensive curriculum. Now, we are often thought of as the letter and number show, but we're so much more. It is a comprehensive curriculum. And more recently, we've been focusing on the skills that help children learn. So not only what to learn, but how to learn.
Such as excuse me for interrupting, 50th anniversary, let me just say. Those skills are? Talk about them.
Oh, those skills are, yes, they're the academic skills.
Beyond that.
Yeah, beyond that.
The life skills, particularly in the very polarized, divisive world, it's somewhat mean. I'm sorry, I don't want to get political. Why is it more important than ever before?
Well, we have to learn how to understand each other. We have to learn to know more about ourselves and how we relate to others. You talked about kindness, right? We're mean. Well, Sesame is, think about the community. It is a diverse and inclusive community.
With tremendous empathy.
And tremendous amount of empathy. It's about taking the perspective of others. That's what empathy is. But it's more than empathy, it's compassion, the actions that you do, the behaviors. So when we focus on kindness, we show kids, what does kindness look like? It's not enough to just say please and thank you, right? That's just, those are manners. But true kindness is seeing that someone needs help and your willingness to recognize that situation and the emotion and to find out how you could address that person to help the person and to make the person feel better.
Rosemary, what's oops and ahs?
Okay, oops and ahas is...
Oh, ahas, I'm sorry.
Ahas. And the reason why season 50... See, Sesame Street's curriculum focus changes every year. It's a whole child curriculum, but it's a dynamic curriculum because we're always meeting the needs of today's children. Right. What are the best practices and what are the needs that we need to address through the content we create? So when we were preparing for season 50, we learned a lot about the amount of stress and pressure that our young children are dealing with. The adults are dealing with the amount of stress and pressure, and it's being pushed onto our children. So it results in a sense of them being more fearful. Children not being willing to take risks and make mistakes. We learn best by our failures. We learn best when we make mistakes. So when a child is so concerned and anxious, and I'm going to use the word anxious because anxiety rates are increasing, they're not willing to try, and they become less independent.
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure. So we're introducing, it's okay to make a mistake. Oops. And what are we going to learn from this? Is what was aha.
Big if, there are people around us to promote the idea.
That's right.
That making a mistake is an opportunity. I'm not going to get philosophical. I teach a lot of leadership, and I say people who don't acknowledge their mistakes can never learn to lead.
That's right.
And it's the same thing, only just about life, much bigger issue. Why do you think so many of us, it's interesting, you're talking about, Doctor, talking to helping children understand oops and ahas. Why do you think so many adults are so resistant to, oops, my bad, I own it. Hey, what can I learn from this?
Because I think we're also not confident. We're afraid of the criticism. We're afraid to own it because to own it, you have to say, I made a mistake. And, well, are people going to think less of me?
No, you're just not perfect. Well, join the club.
Well, that's a lesson. That's about resiliency, and that's what we need to start teaching children. But the thing is, the children are looking to us as the adults. So if we can't own our mistakes,
that's right.
How are they going to learn to own their mistakes? Which is why in my book, I talk about
2 to 5?
Spilling milk. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting. 2 to 5 are the ages?
Yes.
And by the way, our initiative right from the start, NJ, we have a public awareness initiative around 0 birth to 3. You're on the cusp there and moving forward into preschool. This is for parents to help their children?
Yes.
For example?
Well, we know that the first 5 years of life are critical. This is when the brain is developing at a very rapid pace. And when you talk to educators, they often turn to parents and say, well, you're not doing enough. You need to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. And my frustration is that parents need models. Who is helping parents be better parents? Who is helping parents become more understanding of child development? What is age appropriate? And what kinds of activities can they do to help their child get ready? And the book is all about play. And this is a very important message to parents because parents think to get their child ready for school, it's about rote learning. It's about doing worksheets. No, children learn best through play, and you can take a whole school readiness curriculum through play. So the book is a resource. It's a resource for activities and what to do with your child across the ages, across different content areas.
Particularly around the house, in the community, where you would otherwise think, well, that's not a place to learn. Well, of course it is.
It's all everyday moments. It's
not all in flashcards.
No, it's not in flashcards.
It's not
in flashcards. Do not use flashcards. Use cooking together.
Let's not promote
Use
memorization. Let's promote creativity, right?
Right, and it's about taking your child's interest, following your child's lead through play, and then infusing it. And so how do you infuse it with these learning moments? That's what the book is about. Giving the parents a guidebook. So we're doing a great job. Listen, this is not about making parents feeling bad. This is about helping parents do a little bit better.
Sesame Street and Communities, our friends at PSE&G,
That's
plugging
right.
you guys, right?
Yes.
One of your funders, disclose
Absolutely.
ours as well. Ready for School, a parent's guide to playful learning for children 2 to 5. Rosemarie, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
You make Hoboken proud.
Thank you. Thank you.
Be right back. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't make Newark proud where I'm born and raised because it's the end of the show and I got that wrong. See you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by PSE&G, the Turl Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, PNC, Grow Up Great, Atlantic Health System, the New Jersey Education Association, New Jersey Sharing Network, and by Rowan University. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Monthly and by New Jersey Family Magazine and NJFamily.com. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
PSE&G is building New Jersey's clean energy future. We're working to protect our network against extreme weather, expanding and upgrading transmission lines, and modernizing our natural gas system by installing new, more durable underground pipes. At PSE&G, our goal is to make sure you have the safe, reliable energy you need to power your life now and into the future.